One of the things that he announced was he declared all the drug cartels to be terrorist organizations. And it seems like Donald Trump really wants to escalate the war on drugs, which, again, is a very unlibertarian position and something that I disagree with. I don't want to escalate the war on drugs. I'd like to end the war on drugs by decriminalizing the drugs. That's what I want. I mean, I'm not in favor of people doing, heroin or cocaine or any of those drugs. Just like I'm not in favor of people smoking cigarettes. I mean, people can smoke if they want to. I advise not to, right? But I think it should be the same with these drugs, right? Yes, they're bad for you. There's a lot of things that are bad for you. I mean, junk food is bad for you. We don't ban it. And so I think that if drugs were legal, look, cocaine was legal, right? It was in Coca-Cola. That's where the name came from. I don't encourage people to do drugs, but I recognize that the problem isn't the drugs so much as the fact that they're illegal. That's where all the crime comes from. The crime is here because the profits, and the profits are here because they're illegal. Look, there are no cartels that are smuggling cigarettes across the Mexican border or liquor. Why? Because those are legal products and we can buy them from reputable companies. And we don't have to worry that, there's some kind of impurities in our liquor that we're going to end up dying with, right? That's the problem, with a lot of the drugs. It's because the drugs are expensive. The criminals who make them lace them with cheaper ingredients that are actually more harmful, like fentanyl, right? A lot of times people, when they die of cocaine, it's because there's fentanyl in there. And if that happens, you can't sue your drug dealer. Hey, you gave me bad heroin or bad cocaine. No, I mean, there's no court that you could sue it. I mean, that's it. But if you have a reputable company that's selling you a product, and now you have somebody that you can sue, you can have somebody that can be responsible. So if you have legal drugs where they're available, even if they're by prescription, I mean, then you can deal with drugs as a health issue instead of a crime issue. A lot of the crimes in America are committed by drug addicts who are stealing money so they can buy drugs because the drugs are expensive. If they were legal, they'd be a lot cheaper. So at least they wouldn't have to steal from people to support their habit, right? So because that's what makes the drug problem a problem for everybody. You may not do drugs at all, but your house gets robbed by somebody who does, right? That's a big problem. I'd rather have somebody doing drugs and not stealing from me. But, everybody always says, if we legalize drugs, we're going to have a lot more drug use. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But that's not the point. But we already had an experiment, prohibition. We made alcohol illegal in the United States, which was illegal. I think the whole constitutional amendment to prohibit alcohol was unconstitutional, but be that as it may, we had it and then we repealed it. But they've looked back on the records and they can tell, from the ingredients that are used to make alcohol and everything, that alcohol consumption went up during Prohibition. So the government made it illegal to drink, and then more people drank as a result. See, almost everything the government does backfires. The government said, hey, too many people are drinking. Let's outlaw drinking. And the minute they did that, more people drank because it became, more fun. It was, you were doing something you weren't supposed to do. In Manhattan, right? There were 15,000 bars in Manhattan before Prohibition. At the peak, there were 30,000 speakeasies in Manhattan. So there were twice as many bars during Prohibition as there were before. It was even more fun to go to a bar when it was illegal. So how do you know? Maybe it's possible that we make drugs legal and then fewer people will do them. How many kids do it because they want to rebel? They want to do exactly what they're told not to do, like reverse psychology. Psychology. Tell some kid not to do something, and the first thing they want to do is that they want to do it, right? You make it more popular, So I don't even know that would happen. But again, if you believe in freedom, people should be free to do what they want, right? You have these women that say, oh, people, abortion, they say it's your own body. Well, it's a better argument. If you want to do cocaine, it's your own body, right? You should be able to put whatever you want in your own body. It's not the government's business. What is the government's business is when you steal from me to buy the cocaine. But, if cocaine is cheaper and if cocaine is pure, so that if you take it, you have a lot less chance of dying, right? And I think, too, if it was legal, if you had to go to a doctor to maybe get a prescription for cocaine, the doctor could try to talk you out of it. Like, hey, why do you want to do this? This is going to, here's all the bad things that are going to happen to you if you start this habit. Whereas, your drug dealer doesn't try to talk you out of buying it. He tries to hook you into it. Hey, here's some free cocaine, get you to use it, then get more. But all this created. So if you want to get rid of all the gangs, and all the crime associated with it, then just decriminalize it, legalize it. The gangs are gone immediately. That's the only way to win the war on drugs, is to surrender. And it's not, a surrender because you're letting freedom win. Here's what should basically convince anybody that this is a futile war, that Donald Trump should not be escalated, right? If you want to know where drug use is the most pervasive in America, it's in prison, in jails, right? On a per person basis, you have a greater use of illegal drugs like heroin, like cocaine, right, in prisons than you have in the general population. So think about a prison, right? It's surrounded by walls, barbed wire, I don't know, dogs, snipers, whatever. It's a jail. The people in the jail basically have no freedom, right? Because they're under complete government control and surveillance. Yet in that environment of complete government control, of basically like enslaved people with no rights, the government can't keep drugs out of prisons. The government can't stop people from using drugs in a prison. So if they can't do that, how the hell are they going to keep drugs out of the United States? We've got huge borders, north and south. We got oceans, east and west. People are free. We have our own homes. There isn't a chance that the government is going to stop people from doing drugs. And the more they try, the harder they clamp down on it, the bigger the incentive to smuggle it in, right? Because it just increases the price and therefore the profit for the people that successfully bring the drugs in. And so you can't win the war. And all that happens is we have more and more casualties. Collateral damage goes up and up and up. So I wish Trump understood this. But, it is popular to just say drugs are bad. Let's go after the bad guys. Let's stop drugs from coming in. Yeah. Because I remember they tried to use that against me when I was going to run for Senate in Connecticut. I never really talked about this because it wasn't an issue. I didn't want to make legalizing drugs an issue of my campaign, but Linda McMahon made it an issue at the nominating convention. She had her minions running around the floor, talking about, hey, Peter Schiff wants to legalize cocaine. Because I spoke about it on like a radio show or something. And even though I never made an issue of it, they tried to turn people against me because they know in the Republican Party, they don't want you to be soft on drugs, right? They're not necessarily libertarian. A lot of Republicans, they want to clamp down on drugs because they don't like drugs. Yeah, I don't like them either. I don't do them. But again, there's a lot of things that I don't do that other people do, and I don't want to prevent them from doing it, right? Just because I disagree with it or just because I think it's bad. Look, people buy Bitcoin. They buy Trump coin. They buy Melania coin. I think it's foolish, but I don't want to make it illegal. People want to do that. They can do it. Right? I don't want to ban it. But again, this is just another, very unlibertarian thing that Trump is doing. And of course, it's going to cost more money. We're going to spend more money on this. We're going to waste money, and crime's going to go up, right? It's not going to go down. Just like the government lost the war on poverty, the government always loses the war on drugs. Can't be won.